Hello, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by to check out my videos. And if you are a recurring viewer, I really appreciate the continued support of my channel and for you watching my videos. So thank you all so much. So I thought I would do a reading update today. I'm trying to do these every Sunday. And so today's is a little bit later. I've had a bit of a different schedule today. I got back from a trip to Savannah over the weekend for my birthday, which was really fun. I got some fantastic book shopping in. I made a book haul video, a couple of videos before this one, showing some of those books. If you're interested to that, I can leave a link in the description down below. So I thought I would just go over a couple of the books that I finished reading and then what I am currently working on. I don't have a huge list of completed books from this week, but I have a few. So to start with, I read my first what would be considered trash novels this week, which I was really excited about. I've been wanting to sort of expand my reading horizons, and one of those influences on my reading has been Ollie over at Criminolly, and he hosted a Garbogist 1.5 over this past weekend. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the channel Criminolly or with Garbogist, Garbogist is a reading event in the month of August dedicated to reading what is considered trash literature, or sort of the fast food of the literature world. And then Ollie at the channel Criminolly is sort of the patron saint of trash literature here on BookTube. He has a fantastic channel. He reads a wide variety. He doesn't read just trash, but that's a fun genre that he enjoys talking about. And so I was excited to participate in this sort of miniaturized version of that reading event that happened over this weekend. And so I read the first and second books in Steve Alten's Meg series. So the first was Meg and the second one was The Trench. Both are incredibly sort of hyper dramatic, very action-packed books about hunting a megalodon, sort of the sort of getting the idea that the megalodon never actually went extinct, and that it's been sort of lurking in the Mariana Trench, and then it gets disturbed by Navy submarines, and then it gets angry and starts eating a bunch of people, and they have to kill it. So it was really good fun, very much just like fast food of a book. Really has no nothing you walk away with. There's no really redeeming factors other than the fact that it's just a couple fun hours to spend in a book. So I really enjoyed that. I read Meg a couple days ago, and then I read The Trench driving in the car driving down to Savannah, which was really a very fun page turner kind of read, really, where you can just kind of go into autopilot. So I'm definitely going to be reading more sort of trash literature, or adding that in trash books into my reading, just because it's kind of fun sometimes. I've learned just to break it up a little bit with something that you don't have to you can turn your brain off for a couple for half an hour, and just absorb some random fun nonsense. And then sort of on the serious side of reading, I finished Dangerous Liaisons by Pierre Delaclos this week, which is the first pick for Classics and Company, which is a year-long reading event hosted by myself and Anne Novella, where we're reading 8 books over the course of 2023. And if you're interested in joining up on our Discord server for that read along, all of the information will be in the description box below as well. So Dangerous Liaisons was our first book. We'll be having a live stream discussion for that one, hopefully sometime in the middle of February, if we can get everything scheduled, get everyone's schedules converged. I think we'll be able to pull it off. But just a couple of brief thoughts here. I'll save most of it for the live discussion, but it was a very enjoyable read. It was a read that I most certainly would not have read if it wasn't for the group setting that we read it in. Honestly, just because I haven't done a lot in French literature yet. I have read Les Mis, I have read some Jules Verne, and some Alexander Dumas, or Dumas, but other than that, I really haven't read a whole lot, and so it was really a book that wasn't really on my radar until it was brought up, a suggestion. Actually, it was one of Anne's suggestions for Classics and Company. So Anne, if you're watching this, thank you for suggesting that one, because it was wonderful. It's very much of a soap opera type feel. It's an epistolary novel, so we get sort of an exchange of letters between characters, which is also really interesting. We're not seeing anything happening in live time. Everything is sort of looked back on, so we get a little bit of distance from the events, a little bit of perspective, and then we also get sort of the inflections of each character and what they found most important about each event, particularly when there's a shared event with two characters. We can get two different letters about that same event. It makes it really interesting. So that was a great read. I'm really glad that we selected that one for the first book in Classics and Company. I think it was a good easing into the reading event, so absolutely wonderful. And then I am currently reading Dan Jones' The Essex Dogs. This is a read-along that I'm doing with Steve Donahue, where we are taking one part of the novel. There's 3 parts, 1 part per week for the first 3 weeks of February, and then in the 4th week of February, we're going to try to do a live stream talking about our thoughts for the novel. Steve has already read it, and this will be his second time reading it, and I have not read it at all. This is my first time, so we'll have, sort of some differing insights, but hopefully we can both bring something interesting to the table. Steve will undoubtedly bring something interesting. He always does. So that will be happening sort of towards the end of February, but I just read part 1 over the weekend. I was, absolutely drawn into it. I really loved it. I did post a video today about some just very brief thoughts about part 1 if you're interested in watching that. But it's been a fantastic novel so far. Absolutely love the setting. Dan Jones in fiction is as good as Dan Jones in narrative nonfiction and in his historical writing. So I am really enjoying the writing. And then I'm also reading Dr. Zhivago by Boris Pasternak. And this one I started on Saturday morning, and I was planning on getting some more reading in it done than I did, just because I sort of realized I had fallen behind a little bit on my deadlines with Essex Dogs, and I wanted to be sure to get that one read so that I could put up my video on Sunday, which is when I'm trying to do those videos. So I'm not very far into this. I'm only on chapter 2, which is page 26, so very much at the ground level where everything is still being built up, everything's still being set up, but it's really enjoyable so far. Pasternak's writing is excellent, really grabs you in, it's very detailed. This is a translation by Richard Pevere and Larissa Volkonsky, and they did the translation for the edition of Crime and Punishment that I've read, the edition of War and Peace that I've read, the edition of a collection of Gogol short stories. So I've read a lot of their of the pieces that they've translated, and I really like their translation style. They bring it very accessibly, but without sort of stamping out the original writer's styling, which is also really nice, because you can tell that they're very intentional to keep the authentic styling of the original author, which I think is a great goal. It definitely makes it more difficult on them, but it shows through in their final work. So I'm hoping to read this over the course of this week. Maybe if I'm able to, it may bleed into next week or even the week following. I'm just taking it as it comes. I'm not trying to rush it. I'm trying to sort of intentionally pull back from focusing on finishing books to focusing on enjoying reading the book. And so that does sort of let me stretch the books a little bit longer than maybe it normally would when I remove sort of the rush factor, which has been really nice. So again, I'm not going to put a constraint on this one, but I will continue to give updates as I get into it further, and hopefully by next Sunday for my recent reads, I will be able to actually have something of merit to say about it, because I should be a little bit more into it than I am at this point. So that's it for today. Just a really quick reading update. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to leave a comment down below if you would like, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now, and happy reading.